to keep up the tradition, gearing up for this year's flashback weekend, which, except for the whatever reason they keep announcing, I think there's 2 or 3 different guys now that are from Revenge of the Nerds. I don't know why Revenge of the Nerds people are going to be at Flashback Weekend, which is a horror convention. The Flashback Weekend this year is gearing up to be a giant, not even necessarily a Nightmare on Elm Street movie reunion, but kind of cutting across all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, as well as they have I think more than one person from the Freddy vs. Jason movie going to be there as well, including what's-his-face that played Jason even. We said a couple of months ago, gearing up for that we would review a Nightmare on Elm Street movie every month, leading up to, well, I think we'll probably maybe not. I don't know if we'll get done before Flashback Weekend or not, but this month's movie is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master.
This was the big one when we were kids. This was huge.
I gotta say, man, I hadn't seen it in a while. I watched it a couple of times in preparation for this episode, and I don't know if I will see it again in a while. A long while.
Not a fan, huh?
I know that Freddy was the big draw when we were kids. I get that, I guess. And I know that the two of us have, not that we've been critical of Freddy, but we've been very open that we were Jason Voorhees fans and Michael Myers fans, as well as Leatherface fans when we were younger, and Freddy just kind of cruised on past us, even though we saw the movies, of course. But I think we had a few friends when we were younger that were bigger Freddy fans than we were. I know of one of our friends that was Freddy Krueger for Halloween, I think on multiple occasions.
That may be so, yeah, because I ended up using his costume the last time I went trick-or-treating. Before I had kids.
I mean, it had its moments, of course, but overall, I don't really think it holds up as well as some of the other sequels to some of the other slasher franchises do. I know that when we covered A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 last month, we both were fans of that one, and I think that the both of us even agreed during that episode that outside of Part 1, that was probably our favorite of the series. But this one, in my opinion anyway, was kind of the start of the downfall of Freddy, if you will. I mean, 3 was pretty good, even though that was when, the kind of the wisecracking one-liner, Freddy was really coming out. And even some of the jokes were kind of, I don't know if hokey's the right word, but gimmicky, if you will. And this one kind of even furthered that more. And the interesting thing with this one, compared to the other ones in the series, aside from Nancy coming back in Part 3, was that there were 3 characters from the previous movie, from Part 3, that resurrected their roles in this one. I shouldn't say 3 actors that resurrected their roles, because Patricia Arquette, she did not come back in this one. It was that role was played by somebody else. But the other 2 guys, Joey and then whatever the other kid's name was, Kincaid, those 2 were played by the same actors. And then, like they do in a lot of horror movie sequels, when they bring characters back from previous movies, they were killed off pretty quick. Very, very quickly, yeah. After that, it was kind of the same thing, which, I mean, it makes sense in a way that, they're nightmares or whatever, but it kind of played off of sort of similar to the way that Part 3 played into the way that those kids in that movie were able to have these special powers in their dreams. And then in this one, a lot of the kills were like their worst nightmares in their dreams, which I get was okay. But I mean, again, a couple of them, especially the cockroach scene, I was kind of like, even when I see it now, I'm like, that's kind of cheesy.
This was like one of those when they really got creative with the Freddy kills, and they took it to a whole new level with this one, I think. And this was actually, this is the most successful Nightmare on Elm Street movie to at that point, and even in the whole franchise up until Jason or Freddy versus Jason. But yeah, this one had a lot of those kind of creative kills. You had the Joey dying in the waterbed, and the wet dream reference, the Freddy, the one-liner like you said, the cockroach thing, the one girl who gets the asthma girl who gets her the air sucked out of her. So there's a lot of kind of creative kills in this one.
Some of them were okay, but again, some of them I just thought were like, that's kind of cheesy.
Sure.
The wet dream sequence, that was kind of a weird one. I don't know if I imagine if I was sleeping, I probably, if it was an actual dream, I would be like, oh, cool, there's a naked woman in my bed. How do I get her out? But I don't know how you would. I mean, if you were actually awake, I mean, that would be. You'd be like, what the hell is going on here?
This was where Freddy really, really got into the whole fantasy element, big time. They turned it from. I mean, Part 3 was kind of the lead into that. Like Nightmare 1 and 2 are pretty much straight up horror movies. 3 is like a little bit more of a fantasy horror, but 4 I think is straight up fantasy practically. It really takes it into that. So I mean, like you said, it's not even really that scary.
No, not at all. I mean, gory, sure, but yeah, not the. I mean, aside from there's certain people I know that have almost like a Freddy phobia, if you will. They see that get up the burnt face and stuff, and they're like, it creeps me out. Yeah. But I mean, this movie is not scary at all. It's, like I said, it's more gore more than anything, and I wouldn't even say really gory because it's not really bloody at all. This would have been on the later this would have probably been when did this come out? 85? No, 88. So this was later than, that's right, because Part 3 came out in 87. This came out in 88. So this would have been right around that time in the late 80s when everything was, if there was like any real gore, it kind of got shot down by the ratings board almost immediately. And so there's a few of the things like the one cockroach kill. I mean, if you haven't seen the movie, so there's this one girl that is disgusted by bugs, and she's I was going to say she was into aerobics, which I guess would have been kind of appropriate for the time, but there's like a scene where she's like lifting weights and stuff, and her arms break off at the elbows, and then she gets these like bug arms, and then she turns into a bug, and she's in, one of those little bug trap, the Roach Motels, and Freddy has the box in his hand, and he like squishes it, and like all this like goo squishes out of the box, and it's one of those things you're like, ugh. But I mean, it's not really bloody or anything. The same thing with the girl with the asthma when her death comes around. I mean, it's not really gory at all. He sucks the air out of her and kind of mummifies her while she's in her nightmare a little bit. But again, it's not really bloody at all. I'm trying to think, I don't think really any of the scenes were bloody.
The only like gory scene, I think the cockroach scene was a little graphic, just in the essence, the part where her arms ripped off. That always kind of disturbed me as a kid.
I don't know why, but yeah, I'm the same way. There's something with that scene. Maybe it's because I don't like cockroaches myself, maybe. But there's something about that you're kind of like, ah. Yeah, to kind of go back to kind of touch on the premise of the movie a little bit. Yeah, so it's pretty much starts off, with the same three main characters from the previous film. Now they are back in the real world. They're going to a high school. Of course, they start having these dreams with Freddy again, and the Kristen character, if you remember from part 3, she had the ability to pull people into her dreams. So she pulls like Joey and Kincaid into one of her dreams saying, he's back, and they're all like, bitch, you're crazy.
Yep.
And then they start having dreams of their own. And of course, I think it's like the next night they're pretty much all killed off. And then their friends start kind of having these dreams too. They all start one by one getting picked off. And then, if I remember right too, you'll have to... Was some of the other kids that this was happening to, were their parents involved with the whole Freddy getting burned alive thing? I don't remember that or not.
Well, that's an interesting question. I think, generally speaking, they well, hold on, let me think. That's a good question. I'm wondering because in Elm Street 3, she's saying you're the last, Nancy's always talking about you're the last of the Elm Street generation, of that era. So I'm not quite sure. I think maybe, I'm wondering if like Freddy was going through the Kristen, and she was kind of like last surviving Elm Street kid, and then by going through her, he got to Alice.
Yeah, because there was that. Yeah, there was that one scene where Alice got pulled into Kristen's dream.
Yeah.
And now that I'm thinking of it, I remember right because he does say something like, "Thanks for the new blood" or something like that.
That's right.
Because there was a
yes.
If you remember, I mean, when Kristen died, her mom gave her a bunch of sleeping pills and said something about something like, you killed me and you did this to him or something. I don't remember the exact line, but I remember that being in there at one point where Kristen was like, you were involved with this, but I couldn't remember. But now that you said that and I'm thinking about it, that's right. Yeah, she pulled Alice in. He was like, "Oh, thanks for the new blood."
Yeah, so Alice was set up to be the next final girl, which it went from Nancy to Kristen, which I didn't think they cast a real good Kristen for part 4 to fill in for Patricia Arquette. I didn't think she really did a good job. But then it went from her to Alice. And then Alice carried on in the next movie, but and then she was like, her power was that she could accumulate everybody else's powers.
Yep, as they died, she was gathering the powers.
Yep.
And that's how she knew people were dying. Hey,
yep.
Don't spoil the next one though. We haven't got that far yet. Don't be telling everybody that Alice is in the next one.
That's right. Oh yeah, she dies in this one.
Oh wait, spoiler alert! Come on, dude, you're wrecking it.
Elm Street 4 was the height of the popularity of the franchise. Like I said, it was the most successful one outside of Freddy vs. Jason of the whole franchise. And I remember when this was in the theater, everybody was going nuts about it. This was like Freddy at his peak.
The one thing that I really remember about this when we were kids, so this would have been roughly, we were in 6th grade. And we might have talked about this on this show before. So, we've talked several times about when we were kids, one of the big things that we always did was we went to the video store together or with our parents or friends or whatever and recorded stuff off of cable and all this other shit. But back in 88, owning home videos really wasn't a thing. That's what the VHS rental places were for, the video stores were for. And we had a friend who had a copy of A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 on VHS And it was like the coolest thing ever because,
Yes.
oh my God, you have that on VHS. Because you remember, to get a VHS back in those days, you had to go to the video store and order them almost. And they were like $100 a piece. I mean, it was insane. And then,
Yes.
of course, whenever, I think it was about a year and a half after this came out, Batman came out, and then by that time, then stuff was kind of starting to become available.
This must have been right at the time when it was more available, like the late 80s.
Yeah.
Because I think I remember going to like Kmart or something, and like you go in the Halloween section and they'd have like the VHS horror movies there. And I think it was starting to become kind of a thing where you could purchase movies, for the first. I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, like you said, it wasn't something people did back then. I mean, everybody just bought blank tapes and recorded off a cable,
Right.
And you'd have like 3 movies per tape.
Yeah, I remember you had all of those movies that you taped off of like regular cable, television, the edited stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was funny because my mom had a friend, and we actually did this too. My parents would do this every once in a while too. But my mom and dad had a friend that because back in those days, and I think it still happens too on HBO and Showtime and stuff, like whatever, Friday and Saturday nights, or maybe it's only one of the two. Like it's like a Blockbuster is making its cable premiere on HBO this Saturday night at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
And I mean, I remember that was when I was a kid too, but one of my mom's friends would record that movie on like multiple premium cable channels every weekend, and she just had tons and tons and tons of VHS tapes that were recorded off of cable, and we would borrow them every once in a while. I remember my dad doing that too. Like my dad did that up until probably they got rid of their first VCR. He would throw a tape in and press record and go to bed, and then get up the next morning and on a Saturday or Sunday morning and press play and fast forward through it and see what he got on there.
I was very obsessive about my VHS collection and my beta collection for that matter. And I got real good where I would be able to pause out the commercials even. I'd wait for the bumpers to show up and I'd hit pause. And so I think I had Nightmare on Elm Street 1 on beta that I recorded off of TV. And then I had Part 3 I got off of HBO, so I had the uncut version of that. And I don't think I think those were the only 2 I owned. Because I didn't see 2 till later in back then. But I never owned it. I only saw it once back then. It was like one of the more obscure ones for me.
Yeah, and I actually even have a copy of not the same exact copy, but that same edition of A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 on media.
Awesome.
VHS tape that I got at somewhere at a thrift store a couple years ago. It's just funny, now you go into these thrift stores and you can buy, VHS tapes, depending on where you're at. Some places it's $0.25, some places it's 50 cents, some places it's $1. The most I've paid for a VHS tape, I think, since I started collecting them over the past couple of years is, I think $15, which I paid for Curtains a little bit ago. But
I wish I would have picked up Elm Street 3 at Flashback last year. That was the one. I think it was only a couple of bucks or something, and I passed on. I ended up getting They Live. I should have just grabbed Elm Street 3 as well.
Yeah, this year I'm going to take some spinning cash for sure, and maybe not necessarily pick up any VHS tapes, but actually get some stuff. Because there's every year that we go, I'm always like, I should buy that. I'm like, nah, I'm going to save my money. It's like $20. I don't need that. And then I always regret it.
They always have such cool stuff there, too.
They do, and it's usually, I mean, some of the stuff you can find elsewhere, but some of the stuff you're like, man, that's cool. You don't ever, I mean, you can find the stuff online, but it's not stuff you see anywhere else.
Oh, no.
You know, and anymore you buy something online and you can probably get it for the same price, you know, whatever, you know, $20-$30 or whatever, depending on what it is. But then these people want to charge you, you know, $10 for shipping, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
I want to pay that.
Yeah, it's they always have cool stuff there. They have a nice, cool Blu-ray and DVD selection too, which we always scour for like a movie to review.
Yeah, they always have like the most obscure stuff you could imagine there too.
Oh yeah,
which is cool.
Yes, I think like Elm Street 4 is probably the end of. That's actually funny enough. That's kind of where I left off on the series up until Freddy vs. Jason and then the remake, because I've never seen the next two all the way through. I've seen just bits and pieces of them. I think I saw most of 5, but I don't remember it that well. So when we get to the next two, that'll be interesting for me, because it'll be like, huh, yeah, I haven't seen these.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll be excited or not when you get to those. I don't know. It's hard. I haven't seen either one of those for a long, long time.
Well, I do remember at that point Freddy was very not scary. I mean, it was so like mainstream at that point. I don't know. It's like watching Ronald McDonald or something. At that, you know, it's just like, oh, there's Freddy. Oh, what's he doing? You know. So I think 4 was like probably the last of the. Or the beginning of the end, or the end of the beginning. I don't know what everyone is called.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't really enjoy it. I mean, I remember liking it when we were younger, and then, like I said, I hadn't seen it in a long, long time until I picked up the VHS a couple of years ago. I might have seen it, you know, recently besides that. Although probably not, because I know I have them all on DVD, and I couldn't tell you the last time I saw Part 5 or you know, Freddy's Dead or A New Nightmare or anything. I couldn't tell you. So this one is kind of along that line to where I don't remember seeing it that much recently, besides from the few times that I watched it. Prepping for this show, and it was one of those things you kind of go into it and you're like, at least for me, I was just kind of like, well, this isn't really doing anything for me.
Yeah, this one, like it is like one of those movies where, see, I guess this goes with like the Jason movies, you know, the Fridays. You and I talk about how we're more Friday fans, even though they're dated, even though you watch them and you're, you know. There's something about them that still just kind of grabs you. The Freddy movies, like especially later ones, they just sort of, I don't know, they just don't hold up as well, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. All the Nightmare movies are kind of like that for me. I mean, I just am not really that big of a Freddy Krueger fan or a Nightmare on Elm Street fan.
Were you back when you were a kid, though? No,
not really. I mean, you remember, I mean, we really weren't.
Yeah, not as much as the Masked Killers, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It's funny, too. Like, I know we've talked about this a couple of times on here before, but I'm not a Nightmare on Elm Street fan, but for whatever reason, I'm a huge Heather Langenkamp fan now.
That is so funny.
And I don't know her from anything other than being in A Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, I take that back. She actually was in some Batman ads in 1989. Like, she modeled for some Batman stuff.
Huh.
But other than that, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen her in another movie.
Yeah, I know I haven't. Well, we'll get to talk to her in a few months.
That should be interesting.
It should be.
Yeah, so we don't really like any of the movies that you're in. Could you sign this Batman ad for me?
Yeah, right. Well, we got to take a picture with her in the glove.
I wonder if So I wondered, like, if you go to like her booth, if she'll like have like a glove of her own there.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
Because I know
none of the Friday girls had masks of their own, though, hockey masks.
well, that's true. 'Cause I know, like, and I mean, it's a little bit of a different scenario than it is with Heather Langenkamp, but what's his face, Mark Pattinson or whatever his name is, that played Jesse in Part 2. You know, he's always posting pictures on his Instagram and stuff, and he has his own glove that he wears when he's doing photo ops and stuff.
Oh.
So, but I mean, Nancy never wore the glove, so I don't think that she would necessarily.
Yeah, that's true.
I do hope that Flashback doesn't kind of go down this path that it seems more and more a lot of these other conventions are going down, and that is, you can only get photos with celebrities during the photo ops, no photos at their booths or their tables or whatever. I'm like,
oh, if that happens, I'll be really upset because that's one of the coolest things about Flashback.
oh, right, yeah, and the photo ops aren't cheap. I mean, for what you're getting, you know, it's, you know, $50, $60, $80 for, you know, you don't even get to, like, you know, like, meet the people. It's
right
here, shake my hand and take my picture, and all right, next. Like,
no fun. What we did last year was just amazing with the Friday girls, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll top that ever or not. Hopefully, we'll see.
Well, yeah, I think we will. It'll be hard to, but I think we will. Yeah, I think meeting Amy Steele and talking as long as we did with her, I think that's going to be hard to top. That's for sure. But I don't know. What do you think tops that? Meeting Amy Steele and chatting with her and all that, or watching Nancy Loomis blow her nose?
Was that last year or was that 2 years ago?
That's 2 years ago.
Yeah, for those of you listening at home, if you haven't caught on yet, Mark is near death this episode.
Oh, I am so ill. I think Freddy Krueger was in my dream last night. I hope he wasn't kissing me or something. That's why I have a sore throat.
You never know what diseases are encrusted in those burn crevices and stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm oh my goodness. What do I sound like? I must sound terrible.
You do sound terrible. I don't know if they can hear you because you're like talking so low. Well, after we edit it out, maybe you'll be like a normal, normal sounding person.
Yeah. So what do you give it? Elm Street 4? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I would have to say, I don't want to say straight up thumbs down, but it's pretty close. I mean, if you know, it's one of those movies that, along with any of the sequels, kind of along the same lines of Jason Takes Manhattan or Jason Goes to Hell. You probably don't want to watch it after you see it one time, but you need to see it at least once.
I would go ahead and say Elm Street 4. I would give it a thumbs up. Not that I think it's a great movie by any means, but I think in terms of the franchise, it holds its spot. Like it's like one of the ones that, like, you know, I don't know, like it's a period piece, I guess. It's like, if you want, this was the height of Freddy Krueger. If you ever want to know what it was like in 1988 and, you know, really get what Freddy was about back then when they started to turn him into more of a mainstream wisecracker, this is the movie to watch.
Mainstream wisecracker.
Yeah. So.
There you have it, guys. We kind of are split on this one a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. I am going to say, I think for the next 2 episodes after this one, we're going to be split as well.
Yeah, we very well may be. We very well may be.
So we'll be back here next week, the same bat time on the same bat channel, talking about Prometheus 2.
Alien Covenant.